every cast now?
No, I really think it should be called Lovac Snack Time, because we always have snacks.
Welcome to Lovac Endgame. That's what it is.
Why
this
would you
month.
support my new and fresh idea, Connor?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm kind of on board with Justin, where we just come up with a new name every month. Because snack time is over. We just finished having snacks.
That won't stop me from getting another snack.
Not enough pizza. Time to get another snack.
Yeah?
You finish the pizza, it's time to pull out the ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, actually?
Oh yeah, so welcome to Lovac Podcast. I'm Connor with the Pichu aesthetic, as always, every podcast ever.
Do we really have to do this?
I will! And I don't know, you guys can introduce yourselves however the fuck you want, as long as you introduce yourselves.
Oh.
Because that part's necessary.
I'm Franz Ferdinand.
Alright.
I
I'm
made
your
the hit song
middleest
Take Me
brother.
Out. I haven't been relevant since 2008.
Not to be confused with the Archduke, Franz Ferdinand.
Yeah, he's dead.
He is?
What? Fucking spoilers!
When that happened?
I don't know. Around World War One?
When was that?
Long enough that I don't care.
I was going to say, what are we in social studies?
Is that the word you have for history class, Connor?
Yeah.
That's weird. Why is it called social studies?
History-
You're not learning about social work.
History from like first grade to like 8th grade was social studies.
Welcome to Lovac Study Hall.
Yeah, that's it.
I never had that. I never understood if study hall was like a class or was like a club
It's
or what.
literally, usually it consists of going either to like an empty classroom or perhaps your school library. And it's
just like a...
It's just a free period that you can't go and do whatever you want, but like
Fuck that then.
Yeah.
like you can you can study, work on homework,
Fuck that.
like you can use the library facilities for whatever you want. You can dick around as long as you're staying within the room that you're assigned to. So
Was my school the only one that had SSR?
SSR.
It was silent reading.
Yeah, sustained silent reading or some shit.
Sustained silent. I call it super silent.
I remember that shit. It was basically you just sat in a room with a book and you just read for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, they let you read whatever you
Super
want, that's
Saiyan
why I just
reading.
read manga.
Huh.
Or if you're me, you laid on the
draw.
ground with a book on your face.
I'm reading. It's just I'm very nearsighted.
Depending on your teacher, you could do like whatever you wanted. I like drew 99% of the time. And then I had a English teacher for my SSR, and she got really mad, and she started throwing away my drawings when she saw them.
Oh,
This
gross.
is very gross.
What a dick.
Yeah.
It's not the nicest thing.
But I guess to get all formalities out of the way, we also have Allison, the ghost host, Toast to Toast.
Oh, is that it today? Okay.
I don't know, that's just what I'm coming up with today.
Toast to roast.
Toast to roast. And then Stucifer, the stew shoe overlord. The
Why are you ASMRing?
You don't need to say
Hello.
You got to do that to summon me into a podcast.
Exactly.
That's just kind of a requirement.
You gotta bring the microphone closer.
You need to get really uncomfortably close and make loud, smacky noises.
Exactly.
Mouth noises.
Oh God, please.
Justin.
No, Justin. Oh,
I saw
please
that
do not
clip.
make out with the microphone. Oh, that does bring up a really important question, though. Did you have a double quarter pounder with cheese recently?
no. Because
right.
I've actually cut out fast food significantly from my life.
Well, that's good for you. I'm proud.
Yeah.
That's
Why
awesome.
don't I fucking do this?
Yeah.
Because my
Fuck
identity
you.
is gone, you asshole.
But yeah, that's who. Same cast as last month. This is the Lovac study hall.
Lovac SSR Super Saiyan reading.
Super.
Oh, Connor,
We
that
do this
wasn't
every
that
month.
funny.
We do this. I don't know.
It wasn't that funny.
It was funny that Connor, gave me death stare.
You're like,
But yeah, I can officially say that we do this monthly because we've done it for 2 months in a row now. So fuck.
Time to skip it for 6 months.
I was gonna say.
Exactly.
It's time.
So let's have a quick rundown of everything that came out this week. This
week?
month. This week nothing came out because I've been a piece of shit who has
Because we've been working our butts off at our day job.
That's true. But we did have 2 comic dubs, which was Owabunga and New Job.
You mean Owabunga?
Owabunga, Owabunga, Owabunga.
What's the full word? Connor.
Ooh.
Like,
Ooh bunga.
like, yeah.
You know, like nya. Yeah, Owabunga. Which were both Splatoon 2 comic dubs, both featuring Allison and also a new member of Lovac, Amina. So
Neat.
it was cool to have her finally on and voice acting stuff. That was all part of. I think we had some sort of announcement on. I don't know if it was in a podcast or what, but we made an announcement about
last podcast. We talked about how we were looking for more talent.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think we never really made a big announcement anywhere about it, other than the Discord. But
I shared it on social medias. I think when there was like a week or 2 left or something like that. But yeah, so that was her big debut, and then for the past 2 weeks, I've been streaming Ocarina of Time Randomizer, which has been dumb, but I digress. Y'all ever play Ocarina of Time with 3 shields and no weapons? It's awesome.
You mean the Goofy playthrough?
Oh yeah, exactly. Whale. But yeah, so that's been pretty much everything that's come out on Lovac this month. However, as far as videos go, I also have been doing videos that we have all seen. And I don't know, I just really want to plug in the fact that I have a dancing Pikachu transparent image, or a GIF image, that I can use for videos now. And I'm using for pure fucking evil.
I think you mean pure artistic talent. That's what you mean. The first video you put out was amazing.
I'm doing my best with it.
Was it memey as shit? Absolutely, but
that's the idea. That's all I post, Justin. I don't know if you noticed or not. I shit memes. That's it. I eat, breathe, and yeah. Anyway, it's all memes with me. But yeah, so that's about it for what's come out this month. However, we've also been recording behind the scenes, and I don't know if we want to talk about the fun shenanigans we've had off screen with Sonic the Hedgehog and the Ultimate Smash Brothers, but
yeah. So yeah, a lot of our recording was finishing up extended playthroughs of stuff, where Stu, Connor, and I did an entire playthrough of Sonic 1 through 3, and then Sonic Mania. To kind of experience all of them, because they're kind of a package deal.
Yeah.
And then comparing it to Mania to see, like, you know, just how different it was and what was better about it and such. With a little bit of some other shenanigans thrown in.
It was great. I felt really small every time we started playing, because like I would play and I would fuck up and spend like an hour on a level.
And then Stu, the Sonic the Hedgehog, the Sonic the Hedgehog got over here. He's like, that's no big deal. Like beats the level and fucking.
Well, at this point, it's all muscle memory, so that's the only reason I've got a leg up. But like, yeah, for a newcomer, you didn't do bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you.
Like, there are a lot of people that would just straight up give up.
Yeah.
Like playing it. I know tons of people who would just like put down the controller and walk away and never touch it.
That's how I used to be. That's how I used to be with him when I was younger. Is like, I cannot play these games. Like, it's too fast. I can't figure out what the hell I'm doing, and then I just would be like, screw it, and then like go play something else.
They're a lot more intimidating than I guess you initially think they are, because once you get a feel for like once you play through a couple of them and you beat them, you're just kind of like, okay.
It's a platformer with timing.
Yeah.
Really what it is. It's like, because there are moments of traditional platforming in there, but like when it comes to like traversing through the level, it's not just a matter of you get really fast and you let it do all of its own thing until it gets you to the point where you do more platforming. And it's like, no, there's some moments where like you actually have to jump or
puzzle solve
or puzzle solve or something like that, where if you don't do it at the right moment, yeah, you'll get frustrated and you'll fuck up.
And leading off of that, I think that's one of the biggest issues that I have with a lot of the modern Sonic titles is that they are very much left to right.
Yeah, on rails.
I mean, they have little discrepancies where like you will go off course or you'll go down a different path, but like the paths that you can take are a lot less spanning and it's more direct. Whereas in the classic games, I think you have like around the time that Sonic 3 was released, you had like 3 or 4 different spanning routes that you could take that would get you to the same point, and so it was kind of nice and exploratory. The new games kind of lack a lot of that exploratory element.
Yeah, that's kind of what I noticed, especially playing back, was like when you're really good at a level, you can find the exact path to go through to get you through the fastest. And I'm like, oh, that's what people are talking about when they say gotta go fast.
When's that like? And Sonic 3, along with Sonic and Knuckles as well, which are kind of a conjoined package there. And then to even more extent, Sonic Mania it also introduces the fact of having multiple characters to play through with different mechanics associated with them. So therefore, you sometimes like Mania even goes so far that if you're playing as a certain character, certain routes are closed off to you, as well as certain routes that aren't available to other characters are opened up to you specifically because of the nature of that character's mechanics.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like there's Ray the Flying Squirrel in Sonic Mania, and he has like a glide mechanic, and so a lot of these higher altitude routes get closed off, so that way you can't just glide through the whole level.
Oh yeah.
But they also give you plenty of horizontal space to experience that. So like if you really do get a mastering of how his glide mechanics work, you can, traverse great distances while avoiding tons of obstacles. Like,
right. Yeah, no, it sounds like there's a whole fuckload to unpack with Sonic Mania. I don't have the game. That was all Justin's copy that we played on, so... I did have Sonic 1, 2, and 3 that we played on, though. That Mega Collection was pretty fucking dope.
We may go back and touch it sometime, because we didn't finish the game 100%. Like, we didn't collect all the Chaos Emeralds, so like we didn't do the big final boss fight or anything like that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's also the gameplay with Mighty and Ray, which is actually slightly different compared to Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails.
Mm-hmm.
But
I also... oh, yeah.
Yeah, like,
No.
but like I don't feel like we may go back and touch on it, but I don't think it's going to show up in this video just because that's a lot of work for not that much
for
payoff.
Like, I mainly want to do it because I'm like, yeah, let's get the final level in there. Let's go Super Sonic.
Right.
And also, I feel really bad because I feel like I kind of made our ending anticlimactic because I learned about the wonderful lore of fanfic Sonic the Hedgehog.
That was a huge climax. What are you talking about?
You loved learning the lore about Connor the Hedgehog?
Yeah, and Justin the Hedgehog and Stu the Hedgehog.
And Allison
And
the
every
Hedgehog.
one of our friends, the Hedgehog.
Everyone the Hedgehog.
But then on top of that, the other one that has taken significantly longer
Oh my god.
was
Our Bioshock Let's Play.
we do need to get back to that.
Yeah, Bioshock.
But we've been sitting here trying to do a playthrough of World of Light. Not 100% completing it by any means. Although Connor,
I did.
Connor
but...
went back behind and finished it. And I already finished 100% on my own personal file. But you're just documenting it and experiencing it together, and just kind of going trading off with one another and just messing with all these weird mechanics that game mode allows.
It actually fucked me up to play regular Smash afterwards.
I could
same
not
here.
play
afterwards.
I have to kind of.
I'm used to being OP.
Because I have to kind of pick every day that I play. Like, do I want to do some World of Light, or do I want to? Because I'm playing through it again, because I'm farming spirits and whatnot. Because that's the whole thing in Smash Brothers now is you have to get all these spirits in order to get other spirits, which is slightly frustrating. But because I'm very close. I'm very close to having every spirit in Smash Brothers Ultimate. I think I'm a little less than 100 spirits away.
You're right.
And most of them are stuck behind the summoning mechanic.
Yeah.
Um,
It's an interesting mechanic, but
so
it's cool how much thought went into it. It's cool how much thought went into the whole fucking spirit mode in general, but
Yeah.
Still
Still miss trophies though.
same.
Still miss trophies.
But I will say, I think I made a tweet about it that, like, I had a picture of the video files all imported, and it's like almost 16 hours of footage of just us playing World of Light, and I skimmed through the whole thing. I'm like, Jesus fuck, we went through a lot. It's a long game mode, and I didn't realize it till I like restarted the game mode, and I was like, yeah, let's go back from the beginning and play through again. And I was like, oh yeah, I start really far back. I forgot how this began.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I was doing New Game Plus when I was like, oh,
that was
shit.
that's the kind of thing that that like was weird about World of Light, because when I was experiencing it for the first time, like when you get to like, so I guess if you care about Smash Brothers Ultimate Story Mode spoilers, the game's been out for a few months now. But if if you care about it, Future Counter put a small time skip suggestion.
I would say do your best to avoid the spoiling.
Well,
but
I mean the game's been out long enough that I feel that like it's out
Smash?
there. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's been,
fuck 'em.
yeah.
Okay.
Also, it's fucking Smash.
It's like if Endgame can have like a month spoiler free thing, and then the creators come out and say yeah it's cool. Like I think over 6 months is
All
more
right.
than fine. But
By all means,
I will say that they.
All I know is I've been avoiding Smash spoilers for the past 6 months, trying to get this
That's
fucking
true.
game
That's
night.
true. But
I also understand not everyone is recording Smash. So.
that's like getting to like the end, like getting to like Galeem, and you're like, oh wow, like that would like
What a
like,
beautiful wedding.
the length of starting like from the start to fighting Galeem is actually pretty long if you if you play all of it out, like play every single fight and unlock everything that there is to unlock and everything like that, and then you realize like, oh, I only have maybe a third of the roster unlocked. Like, did I do something wrong? And then you go and you fight, you don't have anything else to do, so like you go and you fight Galeem, and it's like, oh wow, here's a whole nother bad guy to deal with, a whole nother map of shit to do. And then you get done with that, and you're still not done.
Right.
Like, you still go, and then like you have a whole nother little miniature map.
Justin, I don't know how to tell you about this, but that's how games work.
Well, I know, but it's like, I was surprised.
There's always a fake out.
Yeah, but I mean, I was surprised that
Then you
a
won't
game
like
like
Bioshock.
Well, I played Bioshock. What are you talking about? Like, it's more of like I was surprised because it's not very characteristic of Smash Brothers.
Make sure they hear you flipping off that microphone.
You get real close in there.
What do you mean not characteristic of Smash
Well,
Brothers?
I mean-
That's what Subspace Emissary
Yeah,
was.
but I mean,
if you think the maze didn't take up as much time as the
Well,
rest of the game,
I'm not talking about the length of the game. I'm talking about like the whole curveball type of thing. Like the closest thing that we got to a real actual curveball in Subspace Emissary, other than like, oh, Taboo is a thing, is like, Sonic coming in at the very end.
that's
And,
true,
like,
but Taboo was the curveball.
Yeah, Taboo
'Cause the whole
was the
time we
curveball.
think it's Ganon,
Yeah.
and then we think it's Master Hand,
mhm.
and then it's Taboo, and then the next scene he kills everybody.
Yeah.
I
That-
like
but it's
Isabel.
like that's the only one. But it's like, they do it twice, and then technically a third time, because like if you get to the end and you pick just to fight one of the antagonists, you still lose.
Yeah.
Like if you pick to like defeat Galeem, then
In a way, spending the 30 hours of your life playing that game is a way to lose, Justin.
Well, I mean that's true. You have a point. But I
You
didn't-
lose no matter
I was
what.
like, I did not. It's not like I didn't enjoy it. It's just like I was just like I'm slightly impressed because I knew that this game mode was not going to be quite as extensive as Subspace Emissary was.
Boy, I wish it was.
I
but
wish
there was no way.
it was.
Yeah.
Like I said, even if there was such a thing as like it's still mostly one-on-one fights, but with some platforming levels thrown in there every now and again. that would have been neat. But
I would have killed for like. So get this. I know that this would be absolutely fucking horrendous, but I would have loved like a cutscene, just a small cutscene of like whatever character you pick approaching the three or Galeem and what's his fuck.
I don't think it would have.
Which I know would be fucking insane.
Pre-rendered like all the other ones are.
Because that would be
absolutely
75 fucking
plus a new one for every character that comes out.
Yeah.
Like yeah, and then you
like that would be
you,
crazy, but I feel like that would be very fucking worth. Like if they added something like that, I'd be like, all right, I don't care about any other cutscenes.
Like I said, you could theoretically do something like that in engine. Like if you wanted to, like have them do it like on stage that you're getting ready to fight or something like that, or using it with in-game character models. But like, that's not really Smash's thing. Oh my god,
It's got an ET head.
Stu's showing us ET pumping iron. Don't worry about it.
Stu's showing us weird knockoff toys.
Now I want to talk about that. Okay, let's do something that everyone can talk about.
Oh boy.
Huh?
How he's staring me down. Huh? Want to do something that everyone can talk about? You would stop talking about fucking Smash Brothers?
Let me.
No, hold on.
Okay, go for it.
For the last 6 fucking months, you guys won't shut the fuck up about this game where Sonic and Isabelle fight to the death.
I thought you liked that about it.
No, I don't like fighting games at all. I don't like people hurting each other. That's why I go around Animal Crossing planting flowers and making out with
Guess what?
dogs.
Isabelle murders people now. You're just gonna have to live with that.
I
fact.
knew that when I got Lego Leaf, and I knew that now.
Yeah.
Isabelle takes her fishing rod and throws people off fucking cliffs to their death.
It better be the circle game you're showing to them. Cause
But I did want to bring this around because I was like, you know what? Speaking of Smash, this would be a really good way to just transition.
Never speaking of
Because guess
Smash.
what? Something came out this month for Smash
I'm
that I
leaving.
feel like we can all weigh in on, and that would be Joker. Fucking coming out. I don't
No.
know if he came out this month or last month, but either way, he wasn't here last.
Let's go back to Smash.
He wasn't here last podcast, and I wanted to bring this.
Oh, I
around
thought
to
you meant
Persona.
Joker the movie that's coming out.
Oh no. What? Oh god. No.
I
talking
thought
about
you were
Joker
like
the movie.
segueing into like a really shitty movie that's going to be coming out soon.
I mean, we can because we're talking about Joker and Smash, and
I
they
don't
have the
want
same name.
I want to forget.
I want to forget.
So Joker came out in Smash, and that was pretty cool. Now let's talk about the Joker movie that's coming out.
I'm afraid that they're going to make a really shitty mental illness thing again.
I'm very afraid of the same thing. I'm terrified at that movie.
I don't know, like, so just, like, to touch on it a little bit, I don't know what the Joker movie is supposed to be. Like, it because, like, they're the trailer suggests it's an origin story, but it seems to be more of a thought piece than it is an actual plot-driven movie based off of, you know, what they actually show in the trailer.
Right.
Like, the casting is weird. Like, it's...
The cast? Who cares about the casting?
Who is it? Was it like Joaquin Phoenix or something like that?
I don't know who that is.
He's a fairly well-known actor, but
That's great. I don't know who he is.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. He hasn't. I don't think he's been very relevant lately. I don't remember a movie recently that he's been in.
I don't think for a superhero movie, I don't think the casting is like who's famous and who isn't 100%.
No, I agree, but it's like at the same time, he's not the person I think of when it's not the type of person I think of when I think of Joker. He's very spindly and almost very old looking. Honestly, like
Joker is kind of old.
Yeah, but
I would never want to.
And I will say he is a little spindly.
Yeah, but he doesn't like just Joaquin's face like. When you see him like in his moments where he's like upset or kind of getting stressed out, he looks all right. But like his regular, just like I guess for lack of a word, default like demeanor, it just doesn't look right to me.
Right.
Like, it just like because like Joker is very much this person who is simultaneously in control of himself, but also completely out of control, and.
Right.
And I don't get that vibe from him. Even when, like, he's in his little demented moments in the trailer. Yeah, that makes him look more like Joker. But it's, like, only because the fact that I see Joker act that way. It's
My question is, when the fuck is that one Joker cosplayer from like 2014 gonna get his own goddamn movie?
Oh, he stopped.
Did he stop?
Yeah, he got
He got
stopped.
like a show, didn't he?
No, he just stopped cosplaying Joker.
Oh.
He's like it's not fun for me anymore, and so he stopped.
That's weird.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's because it got oversaturated for him, and so he was getting noticed on the street just because of who he was, and getting bothered all the time. Sometimes popularity like that just gets to people. Like I know I probably would. Like I said, like I don't mind people knowing who I am and whatnot, but if people were constantly approaching me saying like, "Oh hey, you're that one guy who did that one thing," like, yeah, I probably would go, get a little stressed out too if people were constantly coming up in my grill about something,
Right.
I was trying to do for fun. Like,
That's like, I don't know why, that reminds me of the story that Critical had before he, like, came out and, like, introduced to it. Well, I think it was while he was doing that.
mm-hmm.
He was like, welcome to my FAQ, this is one of the questions I constantly get, and it's if someone ever recognized me in real life. And the answer is that happened once. And he went into, like, this story of how he went through, like, he was going grocery shopping, and the cashier was like, hey, you kind of sound like this one guy. He's like, weird. Anyway, thank you for And that was literally the entire exchange. And I'm like, yeah, I see why he was staying under wraps for so long. Because if he was recognized just by his fucking voice alone, like, God, I can't even imagine. And especially in, like, Florida, which is such a popular place.
Florida.
So, yeah. The Joker movie's happening, and that's something we all have to live with now.
Honestly, it's like the movie itself is like until you brought it up, I had almost completely forgotten it existed. And that's kind of how I feel every time it's brought up. Is like, oh yeah, there's a Joker movie being made. Like,
I mean, me too. And then Allie remembered that it happened, and so now this is a curse.
I never forgot.
Go get him, Joker.
Despite what some people say, I really fucking like the Batman universe.
Oh, I love the Batman universe too. It's just I don't like the DC cinematic universe that they're trying to set up. I don't know what direction they're trying to take it in because all of the movies seem to have a different kind of vibe to them. Because like Batman versus Superman, had and the Justice League movies both have the closest vibe that I feel to Marvel cinematic universe movies. It's an attempt at blending high action with a little bit of campiness, with a little bit of comedy, and
they just ain't colorful in my eyes.
Yeah, and
like I don't know what's up,
but it's like
so much
and
desaturation.
that might be because they don't have the time that Marvel had to set things up. Because Marvel had, by the time DC was starting to try to do the same thing, Marvel had like 4 movies out already.
Right.
And so it was it could be just that it's like it just feels like they're copycatting at this point and they're trying to play catch up. But yeah, they don't. But like all of the films, like Superman Returns versus say like Batman v Superman have very different tones.
Oh yeah.
Like Superman Returns feels super super serious, and while Batman v Superman also tackles a serious issue inside of the DC lore and whatnot, it doesn't feel nearly as somber. And then we're getting back looking at the more current movies, like you had the Justice League movie, which was by what I understand was fairly tame.
Did you watch it?
I guess you could say that.
No, I honestly didn't. But like I'm going off of reviews. I will say that I'm not stating my own opinion because I haven't seen it. But now looking at the Joker thing, we're back to this very serious and very mature viewpoint for a comic, a superhero movie or supervillain movie, I guess in this case. But like,
yeah, go on. I'm about to go off. So like.
And then like
go
ahead, man. Like it doesn't like it doesn't seem like they can pick a theming, like a type of theming and stick to it.
Right. What? Why does Joker have to be edgy? Can we stop making Joker edgy? Why the fuck? He's called the fucking Joker. He dresses up like a fucking clown and beats up a guy in a bat costume. Why are we making this edgy?
I'd like a whimsical Joker.
So
Heath Ledger made it so cool,
I
but
said I'd like a whimsical Joker for a change.
yeah,
I honestly think most of the
that's
DC
like the entire idea. It's
I honestly think most of the DC movies would be better if they took the Silver Age like concept. Like, if you don't know what the Silver Age concept of DC Comics is, it was an era where critics were saying that comics were too violent. And so that's where you got the really, really crazy, like, gimmicky stuff in comic books where, like, you know, where it's like Joker makes a giant weapon that is basically just like a giant pun. Like oh, well, you don't smile enough, so I'm going to kill you with giant chattering teeth. Like it was all...
I'm down with the campiness.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
if you take that kind of... Like, it doesn't have to be, you know, absolutely ridiculous slapstick humor, but if you have a little fun with it, like, because that's what Marvel does with their stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, it's super, you know, it has its serious moments and characters die and, you know, and there's
That's what early Marvel did.
Yeah, it's like, it's early, like, well, in current Marvel, like, you know, like, look at Endgame and look at Infinity War and stuff like that. There are still plenty of times where there are jokes and the characters, you know, have moments where you get a little chuckle when you...
Just because there's jokes doesn't mean it's campy.
Well, no, I'm saying it doesn't have to be super, super campy. I'm not saying it has to be absolutely, you know, like, jarringly hilarious. I'm just saying, like,
I'm just
have
saying
a little...
that DC could probably benefit from having microscopic men shoved up some guy's
Exactly, yeah, see,
Yeah,
you get it.
that's all I'm saying.
Stu gets it. But no,
DC could use a fucking sense of humor.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's why Joker's so edgy. It's because it can't be fucking funny.
It's like, that's the... Yeah,
But that's just my tea.
Yeah,
That's
like,
not funny.
That's not funny.
It's the reason why not the Killing Joke. What was that? Death of the Family.
Oh yeah.
Death of the Family.
That whole fucking year where Joker was killing everyone in the Bat fam.
That was the one where he was like he had like the Joker skin mask.
Yeah,
and stuff.
it was some
Yeah.
guy who was being the Joker kind of thing, and he was killing. It was basically every fucking issue he would kill one member of the Bat fam. And I have the issue. The one I have is Suicide Squad, where it's Harley Quinn's issue, and she beats him up and tells him,
Get the fuck out of my house.
get the fuck, yeah, because he kidnaps her because he wants to be just like the Joker. So he's like, oh, if I'm gonna be the Joker, I need Harley, and then I have to and she's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, so he's a weeb.
A Joker weeb.
Joke weeb, yeah.
That's
DC going, this is what you guys look like.
I think that's another thing too.
jokes,
Is that I think another thing is that the DC movies also seem to ignore really big important things that the fans love about certain characters.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being is like now, like you said, like yeah, you know, Joker and Harley was a thing, you know, back in the '90s and early 2000s. But like, you know, now especially
Harley wasn't even supposed to be like a full character. She was supposed to be just kind of
she
like
was
a Robin
well,
type.
she was completely conceived for the cartoon show
Yeah.
initially,
Right.
and she took off so well that they started incorporating her in the actual series. And
That
but
was
like,
Paul Dini's work, I think.
yep,
And
you're absolutely right.
Huh.
But
Nailed it.
I was right for once.
We're proud of you. I'll get you pizza later.
get it out of the fridge. It's leftovers.
Yeah.
But
It's not very expensive.
it's not very expensive at all. But yeah,
That's not expensive.
But yeah, like you know, now everyone knows Harley Quinn for being a very, you know, empowered and yes, still slightly crazy, but you know, very empowered and self-sufficient character who, you know, has, you know, who's LGBT along top of that, and you know, and then the Suicide Squad movie comes out, and they completely ignore that being, you know, being, you know, the ideal fan representation of that. And instead, do this very weird and awkwardly forced, you know, relationship between her and Joker that doesn't feel it doesn't feel good to look at. Like it doesn't.
Right.
It's not, like I said, like some of the lines that they say are funny. You know, like I hate Jared Leto's interpretation of Joker, but like, you know, the whole thing of like, I'm not gonna kill you, I'm just gonna hurt you real bad. Like that, you know, that one did get, like, you know, get a little, you know, snicker out of me, because, you know, that is something that I could see the Joker saying. But it's like, you know, this whole, like, the whole interpretation of Joker in that movie I thought was very lackluster.
I can't watch that movie again.
It just...
Did you already watch it?
What?
Suicide Squad?
Not Suicide Squad.
The one with
I
Leto
thought we were
Joker.
talking about. Oh, I thought we were talking about Dark Knight.
Oh, Heath Ledger?
Oh.
I don't like Heath Ledger Joker.
Nah.
Sorry, everyone. I don't like it.
And I mean, yeah, I think...
Well, that's the thing, is he came around the time when that was what people were wanting.
You know that joke in The
dark,
Office?
Gritty, Dark Knight.
You know that Halloween episode that came out the year Dark Knight
They were
came
right
out where they were
dresses
all
up as-
Joker? That's how it feels now. It's, everyone's
Yeah.
Heath Joker.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like, I respect what Heath did for the Joker lineage, and, like, the interpretation and everything like
Yeah,
that.
no,
was really
he's
cool.
totally like a really cool
Yeah.
in the
It's a nice take.
timeline of
It's
Batman.
just not my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
not a trope that I like.
Oh, yeah,
or a
I agree.
character
And I
archetype.
I don't like how it's spun off into this big, long line
Sweaty
of edgy
Joker.
Yeah, sweaty
No,
gross.
nobody who plays the Joker anymore just plays the fucking Joker like,
Except Mark.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's the only guy who's like,
Class.
I'll just go
Poor
into
Mark.
the voice and
Well, I
there we
mean,
go.
honestly, I think any of the anybody
I love
who
that.
who does voiceover Joker sticks to that because that's what they know works. Because John DiMaggio did a
Just
similar.
a minute.
Yeah,
For
John
Breaking
DiMaggio.
Bold.
Yeah, and so John DiMaggio
He was,
did a similar interpretation. He actually
Yeah.
got tips from Mark Hamill when he did the role. He's like, "Hey, I'm doing Joker. Like you're the god of this role. Like, do you have pointers?" And so everyone recognizes that is a very iconic performance of that. And if they're if they get the opportunity to voice this character, they try to adhere to that, and that says something. And Heath Ledger's interpretation of it, I think, it's not my favorite, but I do feel that it is a very solid interpretation of the Joker. But that is because they set up that world to fit that interpretation of Joker. The whole series of films all has the same tone throughout. So every character you kind of expect to be darker and grittier and more and a little more violent.
Have you guys seen
yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
have you guys seen Comic Book the movie?
I haven't.
I've been wanting to
no
watch it with
talking
Stu
about
for a while. I'm gonna say it here on the podcast because why not? It's a movie by Mark Hamill, like directed and written by Mark Hamill, with a bunch of other voice actor people that people like, and it's basically the story of it is this comic book shop owner who's like the #1 fan of this kind of Captain America lookalike,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making superhero's getting a AAA budget movie, and they decided to get someone who the #1 fan to like pre-approve the script and stuff like that, and like even go to Comic-Con and to be at the panel and shit like that. And like he finds out that they were gonna change him from like they were gonna make him edgier with like a leather jacket. Instead of Bucky, he was gonna get this girl with like another leather jacket and motorcycle and like Black Widow type. And like he gets, and it's just like, God, it's been like 8 years since I watched this, but I remember him being at the panel and being like, why can't we just have comics be the way they were?
Exactly.
Why can't it just be about a superhero fight?
Like
They're
that's
saving the
and
day.
that's the thing is that like I think that's where Marvel excels.
Hold on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought your
no,
idea
it's
was complete. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Please continue.
But I was just like, I almost want, because this came out in like 2010, I think.
Mhm.
I'm like, I almost wonder if it was like a response to fucking Dark Knight and what they did to the
Yeah,
Joker
could
a little bit.
been.
But yeah, and I think that's where Marvel exceeds better than DC. Is Marvel takes the idea of these classic superheroes and doesn't
Hi, Miso.
modernize them, but it's still at the end of the day, it's a comic book. Like they don't try to make it super like too realistic or too edgy or anything like that. Like you still have characters with outrageous powers and doing crazy over the top stuff that's why people love comic books in the first place.
We have a special guest right now.
There he is.
Yes.
As we all record.
He sleep.
He is my tiny son and I love him.
I don't, like,
But
Yeah.
you don't have to look far except for fucking Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
That movie's like winning all
Good.
sorts of awards. It's got
It's almost like they
fantastic
knew what the
animation.
fuck they were doing.
Like if you can't find the perfect casting for it, I don't know, animate it. Sure worked for Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing too. Is like that's a completely different thing because that's a whole thing of stigma against animation as being a serious medium for films. Like you don't
hate
really,
that mentality.
Yeah, you don't see
dictates.
there's so many if you look, you don't even have to look that far back. You look back just like 15, 20 years. To the golden age of the Miyazaki films and stuff like that. Yeah, those are family films, but it's quite obvious, that they were written and animated with that in mind. They weren't made to be children's films. Like some of the Miyazaki films are downright scary.
Oh, for sure.
You look at stuff like Princess Mononoke. Princess Mononoke gets fucked up at certain points.
I've never seen it.
Well, there's straight up points where characters there's visible blood. People get stabbed or get shot with arrows.
Dang.
They have but there's even stuff like Howl's Moving Castle. Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorite films and one of my but there's some gross and unsettling moments in that film. Seeing Howl's transformation into his bird form and being stuck in it, and
I guess I'm just desensitized.
Well, yeah, I mean we're older now, but it's even
as a kid I never thought it was creepy. If anything,
it may not be creepy for everyone, but it's
I found Spirited Away way more creepy.
I was gonna say, let's be real.
No face, baby.
No face. The parents turning into pigs was something that always
nightmare,
terrified me.
right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though, as I'm saying, is that it's obvious, that they weren't meant to be. It's not like a Disney film where going into it that it's it's going to be completely tame and there's not really going to be anything that you have, that you're going to be shocked about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's we don't really see serious films being done as an animation. Into the Spider-Verse again is pretty family friendly, but it still is is a very big budget. It has a very unique art style and whatnot, and the writing was done in such a way that it was appealing to all ages, but still had darker tones. You see a character, you watch a character die.
Yeah, that is something crazy about, and it's almost not even a spoiler because it happens in the first 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That it was just fucking a character dies within the first. Not just a character, one of the spider guys die in the first 5 minutes of Into the Spider-Verse, which is something nobody would expect to have happen within a Spider-Man.
I knew it happened in the comics, but I didn't think they'd
follow through.
I didn't think they'd say the word die.
Yeah.
I think they would I think they would Mufasa it, but I don't think
they have not only do does the character die, there's a whole there's a massive eulogy going on. They show the funeral. They do
and how it affects people.
And how it affects people. They have a very poignant moment with it, so that way you can get that impact of this guy just died. And now the main character is dealing with that. And that is important. And I really hope that the fact that that it won an Academy Award and has won a bunch of other awards since then, that shows that animation doesn't have to be just for children. It happens all the time for direct to movie stuff and things like that.
Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
One of the biggest things that's bothers the fuck out of me is my dad likes the Marvel movies. He's a big fan of the live-action Marvel movies, but he will not touch the animated films just because they're animated. And I think that's he's robbing himself of
so
the greatest thing.
Because there's
he's
some of
it's for babies,
some of the best ones that I've
Yeah.
seen are great, and some of them they swear like sailors in some of those animated ones. I've seen certain ones for certain the Hellboy ones. The Hellboy ones?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of them, Hellboy just straight up says fuck.
He says the fuck word.
Yeah, he just says, which, I mean, is unheard of for most, comic book material. Like, as far as filmmaking goes, like,
I will say that something weird that thinking about this topic and bringing it up, I'm like, it's kind of weird because for me, at least personally, it's almost a weird. The opposite is true as well, because y'all can tell me Detective Pikachu is a kids movie all you want, and for some reason my brain just will not click that. I'm like, yeah, it is, but it does not feel like it.
Yeah.
It's like the fact that it's live action and fuck, man, it's not. Well, it's dark. It's not dark, gritty dark.
Yeah, that was
noir dark.
Yeah, Connor and I were talking about this. Is that like, I almost would classify Detective Pikachu as an animated film because of that it does not feel like a live action film. Yes, there's live, there's live backdrops and stuff like that. But that's the thing, is that it doesn't feel like a live action setting with Pokemon in it. It feels like a animated setting, a Pokemon setting that just happens to have live actors kind of dropped into it. I think I mentioned it yesterday while I was talking with Allie at work about Detective Pikachu and how,
as always,
like we've been doing ever since we saw it a few weeks ago. But like, whenever it's brought up that it's a kids movie, I'm always like, it's not. It is a kids movie, but it's
a
more
family movie.
It's
more
tailored towards the old longtime fans.
That's what it's a Pokemon movie.
Yeah.
It's
just made
a
inclusive because
Pokemon
of
movie
God.
with a plot that is simple enough for children to follow.
Well, even it's a Hollywood Pokemon movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it still feels like Pokemon, even though I can see all the steps and all the twists and turns of the movie that are coming up. Because, well, not all of them. There were a couple moments that absolutely surprised me, but for the most part, it still was pretty beat for beat Hollywood.
It's a hedgehog
Hedgehog
stretching.
stretching.
Oh, I would like to see a hedgehog stretch.
He's adorable.
Holy oh my god. That was a big stretch.
That was a big stretch.
Those little teethers.
Ugh.
It makes it sound like he's in here with us.
Yeah.
It's right here. It's right here.
It's right here. Come here. Pick him up.
Ow.
With that, I think we'll probably go into our break real quick. However, I want to do a question every podcast just because it seems like a fun thing. I can't remember if I asked one last time. I think the last
Probably
one
didn't.
was...
I don't think you did.
The last one was like, what got you into Homestuck, I think, because it was Homestuck week.
Yeah. That's
But
I honestly don't know.
this one...
Homestuck just showed up.
Well, that's okay. You don't need to answer that question because this week's question is inspired by a little bit of I was thinking about it a lot today while I was at work and just doing mindless tasks. Where I was like, "Oh, we've been doing a lot of modding. I've been doing a lot of Zelda randomizer and modding, and I kind of thought up how would you mod any game of your choosing to make it completely different?" And you guys have time to think about this because we're about to go on to the break.
Oh boy.
But if you're listening, feel free to comment what game you would change and how to make it a completely different game. And we'll see you after the break. Hey there guys, hope you've been enjoying the return of our podcast and welcome to the ad break. Here's usually where we put a YouTube advertisement, but it could also be where we put an advertisement that you want. If you join in on our Patreon page and shoot us a $20 donation, I could be saying whatever you want during this ad break, like Chunky Fluffer Butternutters. We've got plenty of other rewards up there too, so definitely check it out at patreon.com/voiceandcans. Buy your way into our community today. Alright, and we're back. I hope you guys enjoyed that luxurious ad break. So, we had a question before the ad break.
I don't have an answer for you.
Really?
It's hard.
So, as a reminder for those of you who missed out for the past 3 minutes, how would you mod any game of your choosing to make it completely different? And it can be just the tiniest aspect possible, or if you want to...
Well, then that's not completely different. Like, I think you're thinking...
I would argue that changing an aspect of the game could make it
Literally,
entirely different.
like a tiny aspect, like in Breath of the Wild,
Depends.
changing Link from Linkle is a tiny change, but it still changes the game immensely.
Well,
I was going to say...
I mean, does it, though?
Yes.
Like, the gameplay is exactly the same.
It changes the context of the game, and it makes
Well, I mean, yeah, and that's what I'm saying, is that, like, what is the definition of completely changing? I mean, are you talking about...
Oh my god, Justin, what game would you choose?
I mean, that's the thing. It's
You're
like,
avoiding the question.
I'm not avoiding the question because it's difficult for me because I don't, like I said, hearing something along the, like, your definition
1, 2,
of...
3, go!
Well, no, because I'm saying, hearing your definition of completely change the game...
Alright, based off of your
Alright,
definition,
listen.
what would you choose?
How about the... like, for a good example, I told this one to Stu earlier during the break.
Mm-hmm.
But, for example, if you're like... What I would do is I would have Ocarina of Time,
Mm-hmm.
but I put a time constraint on it to where you'd have to get things done within 3 days and then reset it. Then it's Majora's Mask. And that's what they did, and they made Majora's Mask. So it can be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can add something or you can take away from a game. Like, the options are endless.
I mean, it's still difficult for me.
For example, well, you know, would you like to go on and explain?
Because like I said, for me, if I'm if I'm playing a game and I'm enjoying a game for what it is, I don't want to necessarily change it. Like, yeah, there would be little tiny things I would change, but I don't like anything that I can think of isn't really changing the game all that much. Like, this is sort of cheating. For example, I saw somebody on Twitter the other day put in one of the things that everybody would like to have in Smash Brothers is like more unique costumes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like stuff that like characters dressed up in different outfits from other like versions of their games and stuff like that. But we're kind of hard pressed for that happening because of the amount of development time that'd be required for doing that.
Right.
So somebody conceptualized an idea of basically a shader system of using each character's base skin and then just being able to pick the colors that skin are in by like picking it from like a color grid or using a slider or something, and being able to individually color different aspects of that character's costume in order to get, you know, the exact look that you want.
And something like that would work.
Yeah,
For the question at hand.
And like that's like the kinds of things that like I think of. Another big one that I might do, like I guess the closest one that I can think of is that I've really thought about in recent memory is in Breath of the Wild. Instead of having weapons that just break and they're gone, is instead having a sort of crafting tree, similar to how Skyward Sword did their equipment. Is that you had, because like you already have all these different supplies that you find in the overworld that you use for a variety of different things, and so it wouldn't be that out of the question to use these types of consumable items that you find to upgrade certain weapons, and rather than weapons being completely destroyed, you could do one of two things with it. Is you get, when it runs out of its durability, is either it's temporarily unusable, similar to how the Master Sword works in the game, or it just does crap damage.
Right.
Until they're like, you're like, oh yeah, you can hit stuff with it, but it'll only do like 2 points of damage every hit.
That would be a really good idea, because we do like get a fuckload of ores and shit.
I actually would like to do that. I've been wanting one, because there is an unbreakable weapon system mod for Breath of the Wild, but it's for all the weapons. I'm like, I don't know. I just want the ones that were given by the pilots. I want those to be unbreakable, and maybe they like lose power or something, and you have to like put in their corresponding ore to recharge it or something like that. Or maybe go to one of the divine beasts and recharge it.
Or you're like, and on top of that, like just having like an upgrade tree for that kind of stuff. Like make like the elemental weapons that they had in that game be like an upgrade that you can have by like, yeah, Yeah, you can have any sword in the game that you want, and then by having, I don't know, like 40 frost choo-choo jellies, you can give it the blizzard element and then then it can free stuff on contact.
Right.
Bonus points if this upgrade tree can be done in the Divine Beast, so you're able to go inside them after you free them.
Was that like, however?
I didn't like that. I didn't like that you were locked out of it for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be, and then, like I said, but the more that I start talking about stuff like this, the more that I realize that I'm not asking to mod a Breath of the Wild. I'm wanting a sequel that just uses Breath of the Wild's engine and mechanics,
Right.
Except extrapolated upon.
Oh yeah.
Everything else just seems kind of minor. Like the only other thing that I've wanted, I couldn't really give you a specific game because I could see it working for a lot of things. Is just being a fan of both fighting games and beat 'em up games. I want a game that does both. I want a game that has characters that that are used in a beat 'em up, but then can also be used in a 2D like Street Fighter-esque fighting game. So maybe their movesets are the same. Maybe certain things can only be done in one game mode, not the other, just for balancing purposes. But it's an idea that I've had for a game of my own.
That's a really fucking interesting idea. Why has nobody fucking done that?
Well, I mean, there've been elements of it. I think one of the old... Stu, you may have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think one of the old TMNT games for the Genesis technically does that.
You mean the only one?
Well, is there only one on there?
Hyperstone Heist and Tournament Fighters.
Yeah, because one of them's a beat 'em up, isn't it?
Hyperstone Heist.
Yeah, and doesn't it have like a sort of like pseudo fighting game mode that you can do as like a secondary thing?
Yeah, that or it's Turtles in Time, because I know Turtles in Time does have.
Yeah, one of them has it, but it's like the only thing is that it's not very good. Like,
yeah, it's very bare bones.
Because it's not like, because the thing about fighting games is like, you have button inputs that do special moves and stuff like that, and it just seemed like, and beat 'em ups are usually fairly simple. Is that you have a couple of buttons that you can use for punches and kicks that do some simple combos, and then you may have you may push two buttons together to do a special attack or something like that.
Right.
And that's usually the amount of complexity that there is in beat 'em ups, because they're designed to be simple, because the whole fun is about killing bunches of enemies all at once.
Right.
It's the precursor to the hack and slash.
Mm.
And so, but I want something that has both, that has a little, that has just enough complexity that you can do some fighting game stuff with it, but then you can translate it over into the beat 'em up and still have more or less the same experience with each character.
Yeah. I'm gonna say, yeah, probably closest thing I've seen to that is probably Smash.
Yeah,
Which
Smash
isn't
does it
even-
pretty well.
Yeah, which isn't even like technically, a classic fighter, but it still has the elements of both within it.
Except the fusion there is a platformer and
Yeah.
a fighter. But yeah, I see your point. But yeah, it's just like, I don't, like I said, you could literally do that with any beat 'em up game if you wanted to put the extra time into it, like Streets of Rage, Final Fight, like all those kinds of games have the potential for that sort of thing, but you would need the time and the assets to do it, and the balancing for it.
Right.
But again, that's not exactly a specific game, but it's a mechanic that I would like to see.
Yeah, I get you.
I realize I've been hogging the mic at this point, so I'll let somebody else talk.
It's all good. Yeah.
Did you want to go, or did you want me to go?
You can go ahead.
Okay.
If you've got one in mind.
I do. So one of the longest time games that I've been playing pretty much my entire life has been Donkey Kong Country 2. Just the Donkey Kong Country series in general. Something that I've done since it was like literally grade school was like before I ever actually beat any of the games. I can only make it to certain points in the game, and I would theorize what the next area was going to be like or something like that. I would literally be at school like jotting up ideas on like a little piece of note paper, just like drawing out maps and shit like that and stage ideas and shit like that.
Oh.
And like I've always thought it would be really cool to get into modding the old Donkey Kong Country games because it's kind of an untapped market. There aren't many hacks out for it just because it's got a different system that it works with.
It's all pre-rendered.
Yeah, there's not many people that actually do CGI because the way they did the models was they did CGI and then they compressed them down into something that was sprite. But I would like to get into there and like do something with that in some way, shape, or form because it's an untapped market. I think it would be really cool to kind of expand upon the original trilogy without going full 3D, still remaining the 2.5D.
Speaking of which, though, that's another thing that I guess would be a really good fitting tweak to a game is, and some guys already doing it as a proof of concept, is just remastering the original Donkey Kong Country games.
Yeah.
Like getting them to the highest fidelity. Like this guy is doing more or less the same thing. I can't remember his username; it escapes me at the moment. But he's recreating the models of all these characters from scratch, and basically doing the exact same concept of compressing them down into a sprite. But it's there's 25, 30 years difference of technology at this point. So like it's a much more higher fidelity sprite. You almost can't tell the fact that it is a sprite.
Right.
And he's been doing like they're not playable by any means, but he's done full mock-ups of like several levels from I think it's from Donkey Kong Country 2 specifically.
Holy shit.
Of just playing a level 1-to-1 as it was made on the SNES, but in high def, and like that would be cool. But like the same thing with Stu though is being able to like. Because Mario games have been hacked and modded to hell and back.
Yeah.
At this point. And some of them are really, really cool. But you're right. Like Donkey Kong Country is specifically a game series that is very beloved and very well known for its platforming. But nobody has really done anything with it because of the nature of how the art style is specifically. Is it like all of Mario's stuff is very much 2D sprites that can be easily mimicked and copied. Like I mean, you can make Mario style looking sprites in MS Paint if you know what you're doing. Like
and same thing with like A Link to the Past and stuff like that. Is that it's all just 2D sprites. That's where Donkey Kong Country kind of stands alone.
Yeah,
makes it really cool.
You would almost have to have you have to have somebody who knows what they're doing, someone who's invested probably at least a few years. Yeah, see, Steve found the video of that.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, no, it looks amazing.
But it's like it's just you need somebody who's had probably multiple years of knowing what they're doing in order to do something like that.
No, right. Yeah, like looking at the video in and of itself, like this is just insane.
Is it like there are art teams that are starting to do that, I mean, this is not the first time I played here, but the Smashify team, who are now going by the name Curiomatic, they're actually starting to do that sort of thing with games where like they're looking at an older game and recreating its assets and seeing if they can make basically a playable build of an older game using recreated assets. And I think the first one that they're doing, I want to say it was Bomberman 64.
Good shit. Miss Bomberman 64.
Good ass soundtrack too.
Yeah, right? I did not think it'd be nearly as nostalgic as it is, but holy fuck, it's nostalgic.
It's like stuff like that would be amazing. It's because like a lot of these older games are still very, very good games. They just need a fresh coat of paint and maybe a few tweaks in the controls department. And they'd be gold. But like Donkey Kong Country, the whole franchise really, DKC 1 through 3, I feel all of their controls are fairly tight.
Yeah,
I don't think they would need fixing.
Donkey Kong Country 1, the first version was a little bit, it's not floaty, but there's a delay in between. Donkey Kong 2 is the tightest of all three of them. 3 is the only thing that I could say is pick up the speed, because it is a slow,
Yeah.
drudgy game.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, going back to what I was saying, yeah, I would like to see the Donkey Kong Country series remastered in some form, or even like take the assets from it. Yeah, take the assets, expand upon it, or do what Headcanon did, and they basically developed a proprietary editing software that allows you to go in and edit everything, like that's completely user friendly, and you can just basically drag and drop shit.
Here's a question for you. I'll progress. Would you accept essentially what would be DKC, the original Donkey Kong Country games, but in the Donkey Kong Country Returns engine?
Yeah.
Would you feel that would be acceptable?
Yeah. I mean,
because I know they're very similar, but they have mechanics that are different. They do feel different.
Yeah. So Donkey Kong Country Returns. This is my last tangent.
It's all good.
Donkey Kong Country Returns. It just being a diehard fan of the original series and like playing it for years and years and years, there is a definite difference in the way that it controls. It tends to be a lot faster, but you've got it's widescreen, so you can see a lot more what's coming before you actually get right up on it. So that helps out a lot. However, platforming is harder because you seem to have less or more. What's the word? Basically, you get running, you have more inertia. So when you stop, you don't immediately stop like you did in the older games. You have like a slowdown period, and that can really mess you up on the later stages. That's all I wanted to say.
All right. So you just want a modding community for DKC. That's it. What about you, Al? Resident modder and fucker of games.
What I've been enjoying in development right now is adding dwarven mechanics to towns in Skyrim.
Oh?
To make it look more steampunky. Yeah, like whether it's like pipes or like water wheels made out of...
So sort of turning every town into Markarth is what you're saying.
Not every town, just like little bits and pieces, like as if they used scrap that was from nearby Rubens or something. To like make their water wheels a little bit more stable, or like
honestly,
add a piping system.
I always thought the Dwemer in Skyrim were heavily underutilized.
I feel so too. I really like. I've always had this not weird. It's not weird, but like I've always really liked the idea of a fantasy society using, because I'm okay with them using like, oh, there was an advanced ancient civilization and they're gone now. I like that. But I feel like a lot of fantasy genres don't do the whole thing of like scavengers. Like there's all this technology lying around and you guys aren't fucking utilizing it. And I know,
right? That was something I said. Like there are literal robots.
Yeah.
Down there, and you can't tell me that someone hasn't tried, to like get one at least in a semi.
I would love to do like a character with like a shitty iBot or something that's made from Dwemer shit, or just like a mechanic or something like that.
And I mean, you kind of get that as the player character because like they do give you like the ability to pilot a little spider bot.
That's
with
cute.
A staff.
Yeah.
But it's like there was just a lot of untapped potential with the Dwemer, and honestly, like one of the coolest like non-mod made, like non-fan made quests for the Dwemer that is in the base version of the game is in the Mage's like college, where one of the guys is trying to find out what happened to the Dwemer, and because like all we know is like they were here. They made giant advances to society, almost conquered the world, and then they disappeared.
And then they gave up.
And well, no, they just
disappeared.
They just straight up disappeared.
I was joking. I was like,
and so he's tracing the steps back, and you eventually like get to this point where he's like, yeah, so like there's this spell, and they made the spell, and we don't know what it does, and so he uses a spell, and he just vanishes. He's gone. And as far as I remember, he doesn't come back. And so it's like, you recreate what happened, but again, you don't know why. Like, you don't know what happened. And like that, I felt like, when I saw that, I thought that it was going to lead into a DLC thing, where it's like, we're going to find out what happened to the Dwemer.
This is just like, that Inquisition DLC. forgot what it was called because they all just feel like the same fucking game to me. But like, you go down into the deep roads, deep roads, like to the bottom, quote unquote, and it just leads to like, it's like what's deeper than the bottom of the world, and it's just like, you know that movie like Journey to the Center of the Earth?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically that. Like, even with the giant jungle underground and everything like that and shit like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I was waiting for them to explain, like, what the fuck 90% of the stuff they just introduced was, and they never did.
And they never touch on it. Yeah. That's exactly how I felt with the whole Dwarf. Because to this day, even with the addition of the Elder Scrolls Online and stuff like that, they have still not touched on the Dwemer. Like, we still do not know really who they are, why, like what they were trying to accomplish and what happened to them.
Dwarves are so shat on in fantasy.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's such a, like, you're right, it is such a very cool fantasy steampunk aesthetic that has there's all this technology there that some of it is still completely uninteractable in the game, but and we don't know anything about it, and Bethesda has refrained from extrapolating on it, and I feel that that's kind of a missed opportunity.
But yeah, there is one out there where a guy's just kind of adding pipes and stuff like that to the towns, but it hasn't gone really much more than that, and I'm just like, man, I would love a lot more Dwemer mods out there. Even though this modding community's been around for like almost a decade now, I sure would like some more Dwemer themed things.
Give me a dwarven centurion mech suit.
No more anime, only steampunk.
How about both?
It depends.
Get some giant dwarven robot, fucking Pacific Rim drifting ass shit.
Fight dragons in a fucking Jaeger.
Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? Nah. That's it. That is the ultimate mod for Skyrim. Is
Dwarven Jaeger.
turning it into a fucking kaiju battle simulator.
God, that's the dream. Fight
fucking Alduin.
Yeah, I was
just
trying to remember his
dwarven
name.
mech suit.
This is the kind of shit I'm talking about.
God.
Alright.
Which even I...
Alright, Mr. Excited Pants, what's your idea?
My idea is, the game Super Monkey Ball?
Yeah?
We turn it into Super Monkey. There's just no ball, it's just monkeys. They stand there and you control the stage and they just flip around. It'd be fucking hilarious.
That's terrible.
That'd be fun.
Connor, get out. Promoting animal cruelty on our fucking snack time stream. I'm sorry, study hall.
Study hall. What the fuck, Justin?
It's late. Leave me alone.
That was when I literally just thought off the top of my head. The actual one was in Ocarina of Time. What are they called? They're not the spiritual stones. They're the other ones. The
Sheikah stones.
The
secret stones.
You're just saying
Hash
stones
slinging.
now. The Chaos Emeralds. The medallions. That's it.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You get those medallions in Ocarina of Time. And at one point, I always thought it was a cool idea, and it turns out at one point it was actually possible, come to find out, years later when a Digino Gaming came out or something. My bad. But,
You touched on my toe.
I'm sorry. But, ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to use those as an item. So badly.
Oh, they have some, an ability attached to them?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is an untapped thing there.
And apparently, I don't know if it was part of a Digino Gaming or what, but apparently, footage from, the alpha stages of Ocarina of Time showed up and showed that you could use the forest medallion or whatever that... Is it the wind medallion? I don't know. I think it's a wind medallion. But you could use it as an item, it was in an item slot. And ever since I learned that, I'm like, why the fuck wasn't that a thing? Let's unlock this to at least, I don't know, give magic, give more magic.
That would be another thing that I would love to see in Zelda games more is
let us be spellcasters.
Yeah, let me be a spellcaster. Let Link, I know that magic is mostly associated with the Triforce of Wisdom because you have to be you know, you have to have power of mind in order to cast magic.
Oh,
and
fuck
whatnot.
that!
But
Ganon
fuck
has magic
that.
too!
Ganon has magic too. All of them should be able to. And to be fair, Link can cast magic to a degree.
He hasn't casted magic since
Rod.
Ocarina of Time.
Rod.
But he's using all these magical items to cast magic. I think that Link should be more than capable of having some innate spellcasting ability of his own.
Well, that's the thing. I think in Ocarina of Time that was implied with the... Because they weren't, like, crystals. They were Din's Fire, Nairu's Love. Like, they just said what the spells were, so I'm assuming they were spells. At least that's what my 10-year-old mind would like to believe.
I feel like, that was... it would be...
But that's
would be
the
interesting
only
to see.
instance, aside from, like, using a wand or some shit, where Link's held magical abilities. And some people, I know that... I'm sure Matt Pat had a theory about, like... Triforce of Courage just being the ability to respawn after death and remember what you did wrong. And I'm like, that's fine. Let me shoot lasers. Let me shoot lasers out of my sword again. I know Breath of the Wild did it, and I'm happy they brought it back, but like...
Pew pew.
I'm ready for Link to have more magic. Everyone else gets it, and it's not fair.
It would, like, I mean, again, you know, we're getting into mechanics that I think would be awesome to add into, like, the next open world Zelda. Because, like, let's be real. Like, we'll have remakes and spin-offs and stuff like that go back to the old school Zelda formula like that. But I think every new Zelda that comes out at this point should be like Breath of the Wild. It needs to be open where you can explore things and do what you want, and just given a bunch of mechanics to work with in there. And I think the next one, giving Link more traditional Zelda mechanics, like non-breaking weapons and exchange destructible weapons into breakable ones with a upgrade tree, and then giving him access, giving the ability to play a variety of different roles would be nice too. Like if you want to be offensive, you can do that and wear light armor so you can jump around and be stealthy.
Yeah.
Or you can wear this big giant heavy armor that won't let you sneak around, but you're gonna slough off attacks like nobody's business. Or like you said, you can be that spellcaster type that that isn't wearing any armor, but you can throw fireballs and ice beams and whatever all around like nobody's business.
That's what I really want, and I'm I really like, because Breath of the Wild is legitimately just like a really easy access open world game, and I really like that about it, because I'm like, you can do all these things in like Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout, whatever, but like I've mentioned it before, I hate it when I feel like I'm doing paperwork in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I still remember playing Oblivion, and I'm like, alright, I know my title is Spellcaster, but man, I don't feel like a fucking spellcaster.
That's how I feel playing a mage in Skyrim. Like, I feel like I need that, like, cap on what kind of character I am sometimes.
Well, and I will say, comparatively between the two, Skyrim's spellcasting and its limitations on what you can do as a spellcaster versus Oblivion's is much better, because in Oblivion spellcast, as someone who played through Oblivion, spellcasting gets stupid complicated in there, especially because of the fact that they literally have a spell crafting mechanic in that where you can make your own magic, and that gets super complicated and super dumb.
Yeah.
And it easily breaks the game when you set things up in a certain way. And it's like it. And on top of that, it wasn't very concise or clear on like how much magic you were using and stuff like that. It was very, very, very awkward. But Skyrim came and they simplified it. They got rid of the custom spellcraft mechanic because it just wasn't good.
Yeah.
And instead, just give you a wide variety of types of magic that you can use that kind of cover all of the bases. And then adopting, instead of giving you these weird arbitrary perks that you get for just leveling up the thing, giving you a skill tree with these similar types of things that allow you to again, specifically craft that particular part of your experience into the way that you want to play. Like if you're going to use destructive magical bunch, there's a skill tree for that, and you can even go and focus in on one of the types of destructive magic and get better perks with it. Like you want to use lightning all the time, cool. You can level that up and get to the point where you can vaporize enemies with your lightning, and they just disintegrate.
That's just my thing though, and that's me personally. Is like, y'all. I don't know if I mentioned it on a podcast yet. Y'all know I hate skill trees. I hate the fuck out of skill. And you're gonna hear me in Smash Ultimate too. When like the second we saw that skill tree, I was pissed.
To be fair though, Smash Brothers skill tree was not nearly as intrusive because it didn't prevent you from playing the game your way. It just was beneficial.
But like we see it every time we go. Like the only time to ever go into the skill tree was when you went into it to do stuff. Because I just didn't even want to touch it. Mm-hmm. I do not like skill trees because it just
don't either.
It just feels like fucking paperwork.
Yeah, no. Okay, so now that I know what you're talking about, because at first I didn't understand what you meant by skill trees. Yeah, I forgot that's what those things are called. I hate those. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to learn more lately that having those is a cool way to customize your character and all that, and it's kind of neat. Mm. But like at the same time, it really is just like you said, it's paperwork.
Yeah,
and
it really depends on how it's done.
I get what they're going for, but I almost prefer what Breath of the Wild did, where like you could level up stuff. But, like, there was a whole fucking sequence to it. Like, you had to go to a Great Fairy, and the Great Fairy's like, hey, I can bless your armor and make it stronger. And I'm like, see, now that makes... that somehow makes more sense than going to a blacksmith and raising numbers.
There's a textile? There's a physical representation of why you're getting that upgrade, what the purpose is.
It's more or less the same thing. It's just instead, there's a
sense of accomplishment.
There's a backdrop to it, basically. Yeah. And again, I think that all ties into is how you go about doing it. Mm-hmm. Because there are some games that they do skill trees where it's like it's all these very minute things that where it's like increase your attack damage by 3%. Like
fuck that.
Like that. Just make that if that made my blood boil. It's like if I'm leveling up and you want it so that way my damage scales the more I level up. Just make it scale when I level up.
Exactly.
Don't give me a thing in my opinion, if you're going to do a skill tree, it needs to be something where everything is a significant positive benefit. Mm-hmm. If you're locking certain gameplay mechanics behind it, that's fine. But I feel that those are things that should unlock as rather than you have to get to a certain point in the skill tree, they unlock as you complete a skill tree. Yeah. So if you want, like I said, if you just to give an example, if you have a skill tree that focuses on attack, defense, and let's say healing, and there is an ability that you need in order to progress to certain other aspects of the game, rather than it being you have to go through 15 nodes of the attack tree. Mm-hmm. In order to unlock the ability, instead, why don't it just be 15 nodes, period? So that way, if I want to keep a balanced set of skills and whatnot, where I have a little bit of everything going on, I can still get to my 15 and get that skill and progress. It may not be the ideal way of doing it, but it still allows me to cultivate that experience for myself.
Right, and I think I've kind of figured out what pisses me off the most about skill trees is that when you see a skill tree, I'm like, it sucks because I'm like, this is all what I could be doing, but I can't right now. I don't like that. Like, whenever you level up, it's like, oh yeah, everything's new, everything's awesome, I'm more powerful. You just naturally get this new ability sometimes in games that I enjoy, and I can't think of examples, but you level up and it's like, oh, you naturally learned whatever the fuck. I'm like, okay, I see I'm getting stronger because I have been slowly taught this new ability that I can add to my arsenal. As opposed to, look at this skill tree. Look at all the shit you could be doing, but you can't yet because you have to get stronger to do it all. And I'm like, I don't appreciate that.
Those types of things are fine when the character feels competent as is. like I think a good example of a skill tree that does that right is with the latest Spider-Man game for the PS4, because Spider-Man still feels very strong on his own with no skill points invested into anything. But then as you invest in him, like it makes it does overall make him stronger. But rather than just straight up raw power increase or whatever that feels like nothing, like you're getting access to extra moves that make things that you were already dealing with and already had an option to deal with easier, and allows them to chain into other abilities that you're unlocking from other skill trees. Everything, it's a web. Like everything is connected to one another, and so like if you invest in a little bit in one, you're going to get benefits that help out with stuff in another, and then those will tie into ones that help out in another. Like it all comes back together. Right. And that's the thing, is that like I think a good skill tree should be anything like it should all be working to make the character feel better, not making them feel not making it an arbitrary power increase that just means that like you have to hit a certain threshold just so that way you're strong enough to fight something. Like,
right.
It should be augmenting your experience, not a mandatory.
It should be that way, but man, it doesn't feel that way. That's not what I get from doing skill trees. And that's always kind of the thing, and I think that's just what it is with me, is I'm not interpreting it the way that they intend for me to interpret it. I'm not seeing it as, here are cool new things that you can do because you have leveled up. I see it as, now I have this choice of customization, which I kind of wish was just given to me, so that way I didn't need to take time out of playing the game to choose.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
I'd much rather just play the game with 0 upgrades and just keep fucking going.
Or do the level up system like you guys were saying. Like that.
Like Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just naturally give it to me. That's the better, like, I guess, fuck man, Pokemon technically have skill trees if you want to go into the new moves. And even then, that's nice and easy. It's like, you want this move?
You gotta work for it.
There you go, yeah. And that's the kind of level up system I like. Because it's usually just one move at a time. It's like, hey, you want flamethrower? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll replace Ember with that. There you go, there's flamethrower. Enjoy.
Yeah.
End of story.
Don't have to worry
I ain't gotta go through the whole fucking
re-equip
menu
it.
and check out Charizard's fucking skill tree to make sure that I'm going down the fucking Ember path, so that way I can unlock Fire Blast at the very end.
I think some games need skill trees, though.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Dragon Age definitely needed one, so that you could have
if you're like
you could have 2 spell trees or 2 class trees.
Like something where that it's going for a very role specific type of thing, where it's like you want your character to play a very specific role as far as what their abilities are and stuff like that, almost needs that kind of complexity, because otherwise you're not customizing, you're picking a preset.
My least favorite skill trees is the Batman Arkham series, because I just want to be Batman, just like give me like a quick rundown.
Yeah, because none of the stuff from the skill trees felt like impactful. Like, I can punch harder. And
Assassin's Creed. Now they have skill trees, and it sucks. It sucks really fucking hard, because the whole thing that was cool about Assassin's Creed is you slowly mastering the full moveset in which you got from your character. Yeah. And there would be new tools introduced to you that would become like OP over time, but like you'd still would learn how to climb and sneak and do things better through your own way.
Yeah.
And now instead it's arbitrarily granted to you through like thanks for hitting 4 nodes in the skill tree. Now you can sneak better.
I've played like 10 fucking Assassin's Creeds. Just let me do the double ledge takedown automatically. I shouldn't have to wait like 5 levels to do something that Ezio learned right the fuck away.
Yeah. The second you get 2 blades, you should be able to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because it just makes sense in context.
I got so fucked up in Odyssey because I was so used to the idea of double hidden blades that it didn't occur to me that Cassandra didn't know how to do it. It really fucked me up.
Ugh.
It doesn't help that I
God.
turned off the UI.
Yeah, the HUD.
So, yeah, but not like it would tell me anyway that I didn't know how to do things.
I will say, and I always feel bad for it, but you know the game that absolutely made me just... that completely turned me off because of skill trees?
What?
Fortnite.
Oh,
Like, the
God.
original Fortnite. The one before the Battle Royale genre took place. Because
Even now, though, it's still not gone.
No, it's not gone.
Now, it's just now in your fucking cosmetics and shit.
Yeah.
Like now you have now you have to pick and invest into they have don't get me wrong, these are cool. This is a cool idea of having gear that upgrades and changes its appearance as you wear it and level up with it. That's a neat idea. It's not new by any means.
I was gonna say, that's
fucking Gaia Online was doing that with their avatar items.
that is leveling up though. That's not a skill tree.
Yeah, but you have to. But that's the thing though. Is if I'm not mistaken, the way that their whole little battle pass thing works, if you're not buying it outright, is you have to, you pick, certain ways to go about things.
Now there's two options. There's the you don't have the battle pass and you do have the battle pass, and then you level up accordingly to those options.
Because I still think you have to focus on different things to level up different aspects of the battle pass if you don't buy it outright.
Not what I was playing. I don't think so.
But again, it's just overly complex and.
No, yeah.
I will admit too, playing Save the World on Fortnite, its skill tree is daunting.
It is,
to say the least.
I just didn't want to.
It's just
half the shit didn't make sense.
And they're it's part of it is unlocking the ability to play as different classes of characters. So if you're by the time I had stopped playing the Save the World mode, I had classes of characters that I had unlocked through the Gachapon style system that's in that game. Mm-hmm. I had unlocked them, but I couldn't play as them because I hadn't unlocked the ability to play as that class of character in a skill tree. I'm like, if you're not going to let me play as that style of character off the bat, then I don't want you to give it to me.
Right. Well, that's what I got with Apex, which Apex doesn't have skill tree, but it does have caustic. Yeah, it has 2 characters you need to unlock, and maybe
three now.
Yeah. Which you can
Octane.
buy. Octane, yeah. I think, I don't know. I haven't played since February.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mirage and Caustic were the 2 original unlockable characters. And you have to level up 25 fucking levels in order to get them, which if you don't know, that does take a significant amount of time. It took me a week, I think, to get to level 25, and I'm not even at level 50 for the other one.
Yeah, I stopped before I got there. It's just it's a delicate balance because even simple level ups, if you're not giving enough rewards by doing just regular old leveling up, it's gonna feel like a chore.
Yeah, that's almost the worst part about Apex is that I don't even think they give you a loot box every level up. I think it's every other level up you get a loot box, and I'm like, fuck that.
No, I mean I think I was getting one every level, but it's that's
go
the
back
thing
to
that,
Overwatch.
But the problem is though is that with that is that especially because of the fact that you had things like augments and stuff that that actually did modify how your character plays that come out of those things along with all the cosmetic junk. Mm-hmm. It's you have skins for every major weapon type in the game. You have character skins, you have banners, you have victory animations, you have start game animations, you have voice lines,
KO animation.
Yeah, you have.
I will say I appreciate the amount of effort they put into the voice lines.
Yes,
because all of those are all of those have multiple recordings.
Because don't get me wrong, there are a lot of games that have that loot box mechanic that have a lot of stuff to unlock, like Overwatch, for example. But it's there aren't things that affect gameplay in Overwatch, and that's the thing that frustrates me. Is I don't have a problem with augment systems. I have a problem with augment systems that are random and have the potential to be bought.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that the only thing that is different about Apex's augments, say, versus Star Wars Battlefront's augments that were coming out, is that you can earn them other ways than by just the loot box. Like,
yeah, nah, it's... And again, I'm not saying Apex is a horrible game or anything like that. I think EA is a horrible company, but what was it? The people who make the game themselves are pretty cool people with... What was it? Did they make Anthem? And that was what they were?
No, that's BioWare.
That's BioWare.
That's BioWare. And
they made Titanfall, but I feel like they had another game that was coming out soon.
There was supposed to be another Titanfall game, and instead they made Apex.
Oh, they did a really good job with Apex, despite...
And it's just unfortunate.
It's
kind of unfortunate they're kind of burning out now, though. Is kind of the thing. Is that like the new character came out and stuff like that, but it's like there's no new they made a new gun, I think, and it's like but there's no new maps. There's no I said.
I called it.
No
It's flavor of the week.
Yeah, no new game modes. Like I said,
Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was.
I was like, I'm playing purely off nostalgia. Do we have the bird knocking on the window again?
No, I think that was. I heard that too.
I think that was Slenderman.
Yeah.
He wants to.
Hi, Slendy. Yeah, I hear feedback on the fucking.
But yeah,
Oh my god.
I would like to finish out with a small discussion because I saw this at work.
Okay.
And I wanted to know, especially what Allie thinks of it.
Oh boy.
Because I didn't even fucking realize this was happening. But Assassin's Creed 3 remaster.
Yeah, I'm so fucking mad.
What the fuck? Excuse me?
That was the first game I ever bought with my own money. And I'm so old now.
I can't believe it.
You know what the worst part is?
Huh.
It looks like shit remastered.
Yeah. It's because they didn't really change anything. They just upscaled it.
Yeah, they didn't redo the textures even. They just kind of did. I think they redid them. What you said, did it for the resolution or something?
They upscaled it because like the textures were different from. Because I think the game came out on PC.
They just look a little potatoey.
Yeah, that they I think all they really did, they just took the PC graphics pack that was technically higher resolution at the time versus the console one, and now it's the console one.
But that's really weird because the PS3 one I've played recently, and it still holds up to this day. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why the other one looks so weird. Because
I don't think it was optimized. Like I said, like they just kind of upped everything up and made it look cleaner. I'm using air quotes with that. Like
the problem is, okay.
Listen, man, if it came with Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, and Revelations, I'd be fine with getting it. Especially for the Switch. Because I would love the Assassin's Creeds on the Switch.
I don't know why a remaster has to be full price like that when it's not the old one, when it's not 10 years old or more.
No.
If it's under 10 years old, I feel like it should not be a full price game.
Unless you're adding some substantial content to it or something like that, then or like I said, or if it's a complete and utter overhaul, like built from the ground up type of remaster, like say for example, like the Crash Bandicoot and the Spyro remasters, where the gameplay is more or less the same. They completely rebuilt all of the assets from the ground up with new music and new voice acting.
Yeah.
Even if they did some light quality of life changes that they borrowed from 4 or Black Flag or whatever, and then I'd be cool with that. But it's just a copy and paste. And it's my favorite Assassin's Creed game, so don't fucking go at me.
Yeah.
But it's also one of the most unpopular Assassin's Creed games for some reason. I don't know why.
Because it was the end of the trilogy.
Yeah, it's because people wanted more Ezio, I think. But even.
Oh no, we were tired of Ezio.
Well,
Oh.
they killed off Desmond at that point, didn't they?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they killed off the ending.
That was
shit.
supposed to be the end.
Yeah, the ending was shit.
Yeah.
But like,
That's the thing, is just it was tied with the Desmond story, which really should have just been its own game at that point.
but yeah, like I don't understand why they're charging it for a full price when it wasn't one of the most
'cause they
like
can.
popular. Yeah, when it wasn't the most
Yeah.
popular ones, it's not optimized. It doesn't add anything to the game.
They have a Liberations remastered too. I
On the
think
same one?
No,
Then no, then
Yeah.
it's all shit.
it's bullshit. It's really bullshit.
Liberation and 3 are like companion
Yeah, I
games. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I know you don't play them, so I didn't know if you knew.
I like the Assassin's Creed lore and like the story behind. Like I've followed.
For what
Most
little
of it.
exists.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, like I followed this. Like I followed the original trilogy story. Like I watched some Let's Plays of it and stuff like that. Like I know enough of it to understand, like what makes it enjoyable and what people don't like about
It's
it.
very hard for me to stay into Assassin's Creed now. I was actually
Okay, sorry, let me...
anyway. I was watching a YouTuber, Matthew Matosis, watching E3 from 2018, back when they announced Odyssey and stuff like that, and like he just pauses it midway through the show and he's like, I don't know why they have to do all this work for diversity, and I was about to go off and then he's like, just pick the girl.
Yeah.
Like literally, if she's the canon route, then pick her. Why did they have to do 2 and then twice the
dialogue and
twice the
development
dialogue?
time and yeah.
Yeah, just pick one or the other. Like, you guys spent years having guys. Why not just have a couple of games with...
And like,
Jason.
Liberations has a female protagonist.
Yeah, but it was
like-
on a system that nobody played,
I mean, that's fair,
and that's
like-
why it's such a bummer. And then like, a freaking Assassin's Creed 4. Yeah, it's flat out called 4,
Mhm.
which was cursed as hell. It is a cursed Assassin's Creed, and we barely talk about it. Had the shitty Templar chick that you date.
Yeah.
And I love, God, I'm trying to remember all these fucking titles. Assassin's Creed, go back to numbers.
Which one are you describing?
Steampunk Siblings.
Syndicate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That one's like my favorite next to 3. And I love... But they're still not letting me just play as the one character everybody likes playing as.
Mhm.
And Jacob's really cute and I love him and he's a hottie McThottie, but like... But like, I don't want to play as him.
Okay, allow me to... It's a little more understandable with Assassin's Creed 3. Sorry, I've been researching and I'm a little
Okay.
out of the loop. But, so, I was wrong. Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered does come with Liberation and its DLC. And it's $40.
Okay, so
So-
it is
Okay,
It's
it
not
comes with 2 games, that's fine with me.
awful,
Yeah, no.
but...
It comes with 2 whole games, that's fine.
But like, I mean, it's still like I said. There's still other examples of that. Like currently, on the Switch, they just released a bunch of the remasters for the Resident Evil games,
Mhm.
like Resident Evil 0. What is it? It's I can't remember what it's called, but it's the remaster of Resident Evil 1, and Resident Evil 4. All came out on the Switch, and they're all full price. They're all
Yeah.
$60.
Nah.
And it's just like, it's just like these games have been out for almost 10 years. Like, and don't get me wrong, they're still very, very good, and they're excellent remasters of the games that they're coming out. I mean,
Of course.
except for Resident Evil 4, which is more of an upscale job
Yeah.
than anything. But it's like, why? Like,
Oh, yeah.
they're not. It's not like you really did anything new. The only thing new that you did is you optimized it for the Switch, which yes, that that constitutes maybe being a little more expensive. But yeah, I don't think any of them should have been over 40.
Yeah,
for
for
them
sure.
because they've been out for so long.
Remakes and ports really should not go over the $40 limit.
I think if it's I think $30 would be fine for the Assassin's Creed Liberation package for me, because that's 2 games
Yeah.
plus a really fucking long DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So
But yeah,
I think
like I
that's
said, other than examples of remasters where it's like everything is being built from the ground up again to recreate the same experience but in high definition, like the Crash Insane trilogy, like the Spyro Reignited trilogy, like the medieval remaster that's
Like the
coming out
Saints
later
Row.
this year. Like the Saints Row ones that came out.
I think Saints Row's only like $20 though, with all of the bajillion DLCs that come with it.
Yeah,
Saints Row 3 anyway.
but it's like like I said, those like all those are rebuilt from the ground up with all these new assets that are being made. That facilitates to me, yeah, that's worth $60 because it's obvious that there was
It's a whole new fucking animal.
It may be the same game, but it's a completely different experience because of the fact that it was rebuilt.
It's like having a burger but with like fancy ingredients instead of
fast food. Yeah.
It's like a truffle burger.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same basic idea, but one obviously had a lot more time and money invested into creating that same idea versus the one that was made. That may have been good. It may have been an investment at the time, but is now vastly cheaper.
Aged.
Yeah, vastly cheaper comparatively.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I kind of lost track where we were in that topic, so...
Games are expensive.
Yeah.
Games are expensive. I know that there was a whole conversation about when Tropical Freeze was re-released. That a lot of people were not.
Yeah,
happy
and
with.
a lot of I will say, as much as I love Nintendo, a lot of the instances of re-releases being put back out at full price when they're not full price anymore from their source material, is falling underneath Nintendo's jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Like Tropical Freeze did it.
I can't say I blame them because the Switch is by far becoming the hottest new fucking
Yeah, it's like
commodity.
they can kind of get away with it because
it sucks, but
I do feel that it is a special case because I think that they kind of have to in order to make on their investment because of the fact that the only reason why they're re-releasing these games is because the Wii U sold so bad.
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I can't wait for HD Zeldas to come over.
Like for people who may not understand, to put it in perspective, the Switch sold more systems in its first month in its existence than the Wii U sold in its entire lifetime.
Yeah.
That's how drastic the sales difference is on that. And then now is currently the number one selling system, I think, worldwide now.
Yeah,
because it just surpassed the PS4 in Japan. So yeah, I think it is currently the best selling console on the market right now. So it's like they're releasing these games that were otherwise very good games, back out on the Switch, with not like I said, they do add some content to it. Like when they re-released Tropical Freeze, they added Funky Kong in there, which was a slightly easier and still very different gameplay experience. Pokken Tournament got re-released, and it had all of the arcade characters that were missing from the Wii U version.
We had Splatoon 2, which wasn't a re-release, but kind of was there to supplement for people who missed out on Splatoon 1.
Mm-hmm. What else do we have? Hyrule Warriors got released, and it was basically the 3DS version, which had a whole bunch of extra content fused with the Wii U version.
With the Wii U, all the DLC from those. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker was re-released.
And they added a few new courses to that. It just did new Super Mario Brothers, Wii U Deluxe.
Stupid name.
Which that one actually doesn't really add anything new to it. And and now they're making, like I said, whatever they had, like I said, Splatoon 2 kind of falls underneath this category as well, but like whatever they haven't ported, they've made new versions of.
Yeah.
And like with Mario Maker 2 coming out here next month, that pretty much officially kills the Wii U at this point. Pretty much every major game, short for a few cult classics, like the one that comes to mind is Wonderful 101. Like it's like I said, it's not a game for everyone, like, but it has its cult following, and it is a unique and exclusive title to the Wii U. Also, Pikmin 3 hasn't been ported over yet from the Wii U.
3D World is another one that I'm hearing.
Yeah,
those are
probably all that's really left.
Yeah.
Of the Wii U's library.
I can't think
are niche titles and a couple of staple games.
I know a couple HD remakes.
Like
the only things I can think of
the
are
Wind
Zelda
Waker and the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess remasters.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, there's a very, very small pool of games that they could port over if they want to, but they don't have to.
Not a lot of people are scrambling for a Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, so
yeah.
Tragically enough.
That game made me sad.
I was gonna say you were so excited.
I bought that game.
You wanted to do a game night and everything.
I did, and I played it, and I'm like, wow, this sucks.
And I remember
I still kind of want to play it like maybe one year do it as like an April
I'm not
Fool.
joining in on that.
I said maybe one year.
I'm not
going to
be part of your mistake.
No, I would do it I would objectively do it as a joke.
Oh, yeah.
Do it for April Fool's Day one
year.
year.
Nope, I'm not going to be part of
where
your
we
mistake.
get in there and
Nintendo's mistake.
And just forcibly act like it's like the best game ever. Like,
that's the worst part is
sounds like you're pretending, Justin.
I don't remember anything.
It's a joke.
I remember the night we played the game. I don't remember anything from the game. I remember just dying the entire time we played it.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
Like,
I think it's
like
I
Mario played upside down at one point.
It was it's like if Mario Party was designed by the IRS. Like,
let me see. I say in the other room. I'm gonna look at my collection of Wii U games. Very small. Mario Kart 8 is another one that got. Well, let me say that over here. Mario Kart 8 was another one that got ported over. Yeah. But, yeah, no. Oh, fuck, man. I think Scribblenauts Unlimited was re-released for the Switch.
No, they just made a new Scribblenauts game, period.
And they made a new one, but I think they were doing, like, a joint one, like, that was unlimited in another game that was going to be a combo pack.
Yeah, I think they scrapped it and it just became a new title, period.
And then there was another one I saw, and I'm trying to remember what the fuck it was so I don't have to get back up. Ah, fuck.
I'm already here.
Okay. There's one on the Nintendo Land. That's the one I'm like.
I don't know.
Nintendo Land's the only one.
I don't think Nintendo Land needs to be ported over. They're fun little mini games. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, it's so cute.
And the music is catchy and it's cute.
I still wanna do a game night of Nintendo Land really bad, and that may be the only reason I ever dust off my Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
That and probably to replay Twilight Princess.
And so we have E3 coming up here in just a couple of weeks. Like,
God.
I wouldn't be surprised if
Nintendo Land for the Switch.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of these games that we're mentioning that have yet to be ported over gets announced during that. Like, because that's where I think we're at here. Is that I think Nintendo wants to distance itself from the ports at this point and just get the last ones out. The 3DS is pretty much done. Let's be real here. Like have you seen the upcoming 3DS library? It consists of 2 games.
Yeah.
And one of them is an indie title.
It's been kicking and screaming its way down, but it may be down for good.
Like, I'm sure they'll still support it. Like, I'm sure games will still get, like, games that are on it will still get patches, and maybe games that are on there that still have active DLC and stuff like that might get more. But as far as, like, new titles, unless it's a third party or an indie title being made for it, Nintendo ain't making stuff for it anymore.
Yeah.
The new Pokemon's not going to be on it. The new Animal Crossing's not going to be on it. Like, it's done. As far as Nintendo and its direct partners are concerned, we're done.
Yeah. I feel that we're going into the new era with the Switch.
And I mean
we've been in it, but
I mean we're looking on the horizon of like new stuff coming out, because like Sony's toting about the PS5 already.
Yeah.
Like they were just talking about the other day, saying that it's going to be fully backwards compatible with the PS4 to the point that you can still play games with people who are playing on their PS4s. So like if you're playing if you're playing a PS4 multiplayer game on a PS5, you will be able to play with other people online who are still playing on their PS4s. It's not like it's instanced to just PS5 games.
I was gonna say that's been long overdue, and honestly, that's probably what Sony needs to do with the PS5.
Well, like,
that's like
we're getting. I think we're getting closer to the point that at least as far as consoles are concerned, full crossplay with everyone for any version of a game is becoming more possible because Sony just recently, honestly though, to the surprise of the PlayStation team, Sony entered a partnership with Microsoft to look in. Like, I shouldn't say it's a partnership. They made an agreement to look into possibly using Microsoft's Azure cloud service to enhance Sony's streaming capabilities, which would include PlayStation's cloud streaming services and whatnot.
Right.
PlayStation team didn't know anything about this, and were surprised when they got the news about it. But it's like, that's a big step because Sony has fought tooth and nail to not integrate with Microsoft or Nintendo or anything, and just recently relented to let Fortnite have crossplay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sony's been fighting. They
I don't
not
know. Yeah,
want,
I don't know.
They don't
why.
want to be friends, and it's, I guess, years and years of competition. But I don't know. It's nice that we're all friends now. I'm very sort of. Sony's still being
Sony's a friend that aren't at arm's length. Like,
Sony's that rival that's like still trying to be a rival. But like, fuck, man, I don't know. The weirdest fucking redemption arc of the century being Microsoft coming around and being like, "Hey, Nintendo, let's be friends."
yeah. You want Cuphead on the Switch? Here you go.
Here you go.
You want achievements on there too? Sure.
I think it'll be better if we all work together. And Nintendo's like, "Yeah, you know what?
Can we put Banjo in Smash?
Yeah.
We'll think about it. Deal.
I
Here's
don't know.
Steve.
I will always. I don't know. This is a good timeline to be in, where everyone's fucking working together as opposed to fucking, I don't know, doing exclusives and
Doing exclusive.
forcing us to buy
Don't get me
three
wrong.
different
Don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with console exclusive games when the need arises for it. But like the idea of just taking a game like a game that could otherwise be experienced on any console separately and just making it exclusive because you want to pay the extra money to do that just seems dickish.
Yeah. Last year Sony had a good run, but this year it's not looking so hot.
Well, it's just like we're seeing case in point like the issues with that with the Epic Game Store right now because they recently just tried to have their first sale, and what happened is a bunch of games that were like exclusive to the Epic Game Store while the sale was happening suddenly just disappeared, and it's because of the fact that like Epic didn't give direct options for the developers to opt out of the sale if they wanted to. So they instead, in order to make sure that their game wasn't sold at a drastically reduced price that would prevent them from making profit, they completely had to remove their games from the Epic Game Store entirely until it was fixed. And it's like, but at the same time, though, I don't think Epic had any intention of fixing it. I think that they probably had it set up that way. It's that either when you have your game on our store, we can discount it whenever we want, and it's like
it's not the way to work.
Yeah, that's not a good way to do it. Like a sale on a title should be a mutual thing, unless it's a title that the company no longer supports and you just happen to still be hosting the game files.
Yeah,
like that's one thing, but like for new games, especially games that may not be out yet, like that, that's not a smart move because you're cutting into your the person providing you a product's their profit.
Right. This is dumb shit.
Yeah, I think
I've been waiting on hopefully getting Stu back in here. He ducked out to go to the bathroom or some shit. But it's time to call it.
Yeah, we need to wrap up here.
We've had a hell of a podcast. Miso's looking over to the side. Could it be
the fabled
the unruly
King K.
King Karoo. Yeah, we were just about to end out the podcast, so
okay.
I wanted to say thank you all for watching, listening, experiencing the Lovac podcast with us. It's been a lot of fun, and now we normally talk as it starts to fade out at this point in time. So,